ವಿಜ್ಞಾನ ತರಗತಿಗಳು @VSR ಯೂಟ್ಯೂಬ್ ಚಾನೆಲ್ಗೆ ನಿಮಗೆ ಸ್ವಾಗತ. ವಿಡಿಯೋ ನೋಡೋಕ್ಕೂ ಮುಂಚೆ ಚಾನೆಲ್ ಅನ್ನು ಸಬ್ಸ್ಕ್ರೈಬ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಮತ್ತು ಲೈಕ್ ಮಾಡೋದನ್ನು ಮರೆಯಬೇಡಿ. ನಿಮ್ಮ ಲೈಕ್ಗಳು ಉತ್ತಮ ವಿಡಿಯೋಗಳನ್ನು ಮಾಡಲು ನಮಗೆ ಪ್ರೇರಣೆ ನೀಡುತ್ತವೆ. ಲೈಕ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ ತಾನೇ? ಡಿಸ್ಕ್ರಿಪ್ಷನ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಈ ವಿಡಿಯೋಗೆ ಸಂಬಂಧಪಟ್ಟ ಮಾಹಿತಿ ಇದೆ, ಡೌನ್ಲೋಡ್ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಳ್ಳಿ.
You know, when you think about it, there's one single biological process that's more fundamental than any other for keeping life going. It's the literal blueprint for existence, and today we're going to break down exactly how it works: animal reproduction.
So here's the game plan. We'll start with the big question, what even is reproduction? Then we'll check out the two main ways life gets it done. After that, we'll look at both halves of the puzzle, the male and the female systems. And finally, we'll see that incredible moment when it all comes together to start a new life.
Okay, so let's jump right in at the very beginning. It all starts with a simple question, but man, is it a big one. I mean, really think about that. How does any species manage to stick around for thousands or even millions of years? Well, it all comes down to one incredibly powerful biological drive. And that drive, that answer, is reproduction. You can think of it as the biological engine that just keeps on running, making sure every species on the planet continues to exist. It's the fundamental process for creating offspring, and without it, a species would just disappear. But here's the thing. Not all life follows the same playbook. Nature is pretty creative, and it's come up with two very different strategies to reach the exact same goal. Let's take a look at these two main methods. On one hand, you've got asexual reproduction. This is where a single parent basically creates a clone of itself. No partner needed. It's super fast, super efficient. On the other hand, you have sexual reproduction. This way is a bit more complicated because it involves combining the genes from two different parents, using special cells called gametes. Now, for our purposes today, we're going to focus on this second, more collaborative method. So to really understand sexual reproduction, you got to look at the two systems involved, right? We're going to start with the system that's designed to produce and deliver millions of tiny mobile cells, the male reproductive system, or as you see in Canada, Gandu Santanotpadivyuha. This whole system is pretty much built around three key parts. You've got a pair of testes, which are like the factories making the male cells, two sperm ducts, which are the highways for transport, and a penis, which is the delivery vehicle. Now, those testes produce the male gametes, which we all know as sperm, or viryanu. And what's just wild is the sheer number we're talking about here. Not thousands, but millions. This isn't just for show, it's a numbers game. It's a strategy to beat the absolutely incredible odds of a very dangerous journey. Each one of these millions of tiny sperm cells is perfectly designed for its mission. It's got a head, which carries the all-important genetic code. It's got a middle piece, which is basically a little engine packed with energy. And it's got a long tail that whips back and forth to propel it forward. And this is a really crucial point. Even though it looks like just a head and a tail, you have to remember, each and every sperm is a complete single cell. It has all the essential machinery it needs to carry out its one and only job. All right, that covers one side of the equation. Now let's look at its counterpart, the system built to produce the female gamete and, ultimately, to nurture a new life. This is the female reproductive system, or Henu Santanopathivjuha. And, much like the male system, the female system has its own set of essential organs. We're talking about a pair of ovaries, which produce the eggs, the oviducts, which you might know as fallopian tubes, that's where the magic happens, and the uterus, which is where a new life develops. So, the ovaries are the factories for the female gamete. This is called the ovum, but we all just call it the egg. In Canada, that's andanu. This is the target that those millions of sperm are racing to find. But here we see a totally different strategy. Forget about making millions. In humans, it's usually just one mature egg that gets released each month. This is all about quality over quantity. Each egg is a huge biological investment, packed with all the nutrients needed to get a new life started. And yep, you guessed it, just like its counterpart, the sperm, it is so important to remember that the ovum is also one complete single cell. It's holding the other half of the genetic blueprint, plus pretty much all the gear needed to get the whole process of development underway. Okay, so we have our two key players on the board, the sperm and the egg. Now, in this final section, we're going to see how these two single cells come together to spark the unbelievable journey of a new life. or holsadjivada adamba. The whole thing really boils down to 3 key steps. First, as we've seen, the gametes get made. Second, they have to meet, and just one, sperm successfully breaks through the egg's outer layer. We call that fertilization. And finally, the moment their genetic material fuses, a brand new single cell is created. And that new cell has a name. It's called a zygote, or eukmeja. This is it. This is square one, the very first cell of a completely new organism. It's one single cell that now contains the complete genetic instruction manual from both parents, and it's ready to start dividing and growing. And just think about that for a second. That whole process, the journey from one single cell into a complex, living, breathing organism, well, that's truly one of the greatest stories in all of biology. It's the blueprint of life itself, a beautiful mystery playing out all around us, all the time.